Everyone, Nick Giancola, CGIVB. So I want to share a few key best practices specific to repurposing your technology for open enrollment. All right. Now, these three key best practices, it doesn't matter if the employer is fully insured or self-funded. They're the same. All right. From a best practice perspective. So the first one is 90 days out, you want your Ben admin vendor reaching out to you to start dialogue around open enrollment, timing, and what does your OE strategy look like, right? Because that way the vendor's going to have a line of sight of timing of OE and what needs to be reconfigured in the tech, okay? Second best practice is having a conversation around file feeds, right? Now, there's two separate conversations here. There's one conversation around repurposing of the existing file feeds when there aren't any carrier vendor changes, all right? And then there's a second separate conversation around what do the file feeds look like when there's a carrier or vendor change, all right? Because post-OE, those file feeds or feed, they're not going to be established. Data's not going to be sending to the carrier or vendors, all right? So somebody's going to need to pull the data out of the platform post-OE and manually send it to the carrier or vendor. You need to have dialogue and who's going to be taking ownership of that unique process, right? Because it's a one-off process. The third key best practice is testing of the tech, of the reconfigured technology. In our opinion, testing of the technology, ownership needs to lie on the tech vendor. If the tech vendor is fully engaged and a true strategic partner in the long-term success of you on that tech, the tech vendor is going to thoroughly and exhaustively, I don't even know if that's a word, test the technology to make sure everything is accurate, right? And then they're going to be client facing and test it a second time with the client for the client to sign off on it before it goes live for OE, all right? So to recap the three key best practices: getting ahead of the curve and starting dialogue 90 days out. File feed establishment or repurposing of file feeds. What does that look like? And then thorough testing. So, as always, we hope you found this helpful and useful. Please reach out to us with your benefit administration needs or questions, and have a great day.